Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Witches Movie Coven. Today's movie, The Princess Bride. I am Patti Negri. I am one of your hosts. You might know me from Ghost Adventures or The Witching Hour or from right here because we want you to be here. Richard-Lael, introduce yourself and pass it along.
I am Richard-Lael. Richard-Lael is one name, not two. If I were just Richard, I would be something that I can't say on this show. I am known as the Gentleman Psychic. Of course, you would know me from also Ghost Adventures, University Magicus. You would know me from Scared and Alone, and you would know me from right here with Witches Movie Coven. And with that, Miss Heather Greene.
Hi, everyone. I am Heather Greene, and I wrote the book Lights, Camera, Witchcraft, which I'm going to grab because I don't have it here. What happened to it? Oh, here it is. Lights, Camera, Witchcraft, the definitive guide of witches in American movie and television. I am also an editor at Llewellyn Worldwide. I work with wonderful authors who write all kinds of things, witchy and magical. I'm also a journalist, and you might have read my articles in various places along the way.
Thank you. Courtney.
That's me. That's me. Courtney Buckley. You may know me from Scared and Alone, where I am ghost bait, or here. Oh, there's me. There's us. We have a new episode coming out this Friday, so everyone, if you haven't seen it, can tune in and watch over there and see what we do. That'll be fun. But yeah, I'm so excited for tonight. I'm sorry I missed you guys last week. I was having fun in Disney. But when this movie was brought up as a choice, I begged and pleaded, please don't do it without me because I have a big job to do tonight. So, Jason.
I'm Jason Mankey. I've written 9 witchcraft books. Also for Llewellyn, though Heather's not my editor, this is my favorite one, The Horned God of the Witches. I don't know. That's about it. I do stuff. I talk a lot. I have nice hair. I'm glad to be back. I missed everybody so much last week. It was really strange being gone.
We missed you too, Jason.
We missed you. We missed Courtney. This is our whole regular coven. I love our guests that come in. Chad, Laura, everybody who comes in is fabulous, but we're home. The coven's home. I must say that I have never seen this movie before, and I hear that I'm the only
Inconceivable.
You keep saying that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
I cannot even, Patti.
I know. This passed by me. I don't know what I was doing in 87 or the next 20, 30 years after that. But I know what Deborah Blake says. What? Hi, Robert. Hi, everybody. You guys, keep in that chat room. We love it. We want your thoughts. We want your agreements. We want your disagreements. But I didn't know that I was the only person on the planet who hadn't seen it. I obviously was in a cave that decade, but I have now watched it. So I've been de-virginized by The Princess Bride. And on that note, if anybody else hasn't seen it, which I hear everybody has seen it, but if not one person else was in a cave with me, Richard-Lael, do you have an unbiased synopsis of the entire film?
I do have. So before I can tell you about that, I will tell you one little personal story. My brother and my sister, we have nothing in common. Nothing excepting for our parents, but that doesn't count. I think that counts. Maybe it counts. Okay, we have our parents in common. So we have our parents in common, but we are completely polar opposite on so many things. My brother, you would not know this, but my younger brother is completely redneck. He wears his sleeveless shirts. He kind of looks a little bit like, oh goodness, what is his name? Larry the Cable Guy. My younger brother looks a little like Larry the Cable Guy. And my sister, she was a beauty queen back in the 80s. And both of them are blonde. Both of them have blue eyes. Both of them, they're very rural and very country, but that's who they are. And the only thing that held us together, it wasn't religion. It wasn't the fact that we had to sit in the back of the car together. None of that was, excepting for the fact that we would watch this movie, we would watch it together, and we would say all of those quotes, which I'm going to refrain from doing because that is Courtney's big job tonight. So, if you were hiding under a rock for the last 30 years with Patti Negri.
Matthew, he was hiding too.
Oh no, Matthew, you were hiding under that rock with Patti Negri?
Hi, Matthew.
Well, we forgive you because this is such a film that I'm not going to tell you my review, my positive or negative until the end, but I will tell you. So it's a lovely story about, it begins with a grandfather reading to his sick grandson. And as you get immersed into this story, you realize that it is a love story like none other. It's a story about a farm boy who is madly in love with the mistress, with a young lady who is, I don't know if she's the owner or the daughter of the owner, but she's on this farm. And he has a very special way of telling her that he loves her. And it was one day that she realizes when he said this certain phrase that he loved her and she loved him too. Unfortunately, he leaves to go out into the world so that he can make his fortune, so that he can come back and marry the woman that he is in love with. Unfortunately, he is captured by pirates. And these pirates, the dread pirate Roberts, is not known for releasing any of his prisoners ever. And so he has been lost. And in the interim, this young woman has been spied by the king, and he's Prince Humperdinck, and then he will be king. But he's spied by Prince Humperdinck and brought to the palace, and is thought that he is going to marry her, and she's going to be the people's princess, and then he is going to murder her. And that way, then he'll blame another country, and it'll cause war, and then he'll be king, and he'll have all of the riches. However, while she is preparing to get married, the dread pirate Roberts shows up and is unmasked because it is her lover. And then, of course, she's kidnapped, and he pursues them. There's Andre the Giant and Iñigo Montoya and the other fellow, which is inconceivable that I can't remember his name. But they end up by being pursued by this man in black. And it turns out that he overtakes all of them, and he captures the princess, and she realizes too late that this man, this dread pirate, is not in fact dread pirate, but her lover, Westley. And so they end up by going through the fire swamp, because the prince is on his way. They go through the fire swamp where there are giant rodents.
Speedwagons.
ROUSs.
Speedwagons.
Of unusual size. And then, unfortunately, the prince captures them as they flee to safety, and they say they're not going to murder him. They're going to put him back on his ship, but they do murder him. They torture him first, and then they murder him. And then his friends that he had vanquished, they actually come back into the story, and they go to this magician who brings him back to life because he's not dead. He's only mostly dead. And there's a difference. And so with this, they storm the castle like January 6th. They storm the castle. And then, unfortunately, Westley is not all the way back to his full body yet. He's not back. And then, at the end, he humiliates the prince. He gets the princess, and there's a lot of kissing, and it's really gross. The end. They lived happily ever after.
Thank you. So for the other one person in the world, Matthew, besides myself, who hasn't seen it, you know what it is. Now, Heather, we go to another explanation. Is this movie is it in your book? Is there enough witchcraft for it to be?
It was mentioned only in some context, but it isn't enough for it to be featured. But it is it a witchcraft film? Tangentially, possibly, because we have a little bit of necromancy going on with, Miracle Max and, Mostly Dead and Almost Dead and all
I'm
that
not a
stuff.
witch, I'm your wife.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Liar! Sorry, it's going to be very hard for me not to quote. Because
Guys, listen. I have so many of them. Go ahead and quote away because I'll still have enough. Because I have the whole movie written down.
I have a trouble keep controlling myself watching this movie with talking at the same time. But that's not my job right at the moment. Is to give you some context. 1987, going back to the 80s, slightly before Hollywood started to tackle the satanic panic stuff. So we're not really seeing that here. What this movie reflects as far as witchcraft films is what's going on earlier in the 80s, which was this real interest in sword and sorcery films. So most witches and witchcraft and magic in the 80s predominantly was in these sword and sorcery films, high fantasy films. You have a string of them starting in the early 80s, and I have a little bit of a list, and it's going to bring everybody back because you're going to go, yeah, I watched this movie. There was Dragon Slayer. There was Troll. There was Dark Crystal, which we did. There was Beastmaster. Oh my goodness, I saw that movie a million times. Conan the Barbarian, Lady Hawk was 1985, Legend 1985, Black Cauldron, I already said that, Excalibur, of course, the British film. Last Starfighter was a version of this type of film, although not expressly the same. These are all these high fantasy films that really capture that really delve into fantasy and fairy tale and sort of started. I would even argue that Star Wars really started this trend a little bit earlier, even though that's really sci-fi. But this high fantasy, what happens is the magic and the magician and the witch is usually a secondary character as part of the universe rather than a central character, which is what you find mostly in witchcraft films or in witchy films that I will center. So in, Conan the Barbarian, there's a witch and a magician. The witch is evil. The magician is a comedy. You have these secondary characters, and they could be magicians, wizards, or witches. Here we have, they don't really call each other witches. Although, yes, he calls his wife a witch. I'm not a witch. I'm your wife. But they do magic, and they are the magical characters of this film. But that's pretty much it. So this is what this film is done. So a little bit outside of context, I just need to bring up a few other things. The cast is out of control. You've got lots of phenomenal people. Christopher Guest, if you haven't seen some of his films, some of the funniest films, absolutely
Best in Show.
Thank you. I'm like, what? The films are going through my head and I can't think of their titles. Ton of stuff. Spinal Tap. You have Rob Reiner as the director. You have Billy Crystal. I actually wrote the names down because I knew I would go blank. You could just go on and on with the talent. And of course, Mandy Patinkin, Andre the Giant, Robin Wright. I mean, Fred Savage, who then eventually went on to do The Wonder Years. Just one after the other we could be listing. So you had a really great cast. A lot of these stars and these people were at their prime in the 80s. They were known. And then, of course, it's based on a book, which someone pointed out here. And this movie, according to my reading, was Rob Reiner wanted to make this movie for a long time. He loved the book. Okay. But nobody would do it. And so he finally got Norman Lear. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
My brain is not functioning to remember all these names, to actually back him finally after some time of trying to get it. The book is itself sort of a comedy. The Princess Bride, S. Morgenstern's classic tale of true love and high adventure, the good parts version. So that's the full title of the book. He loved the book, finally was able to make it. And this is what we have. The one other little tidbit, which I only learned today, which I think is absolutely phenomenal and adds to my the proof of my view of this film, which I won't share later. But the soundtrack was done by Mark Knopfler. And if you don't know who Mark Knopfler is, he is most probably known for Dire Straits and Having Money for Nothing. So that is who did the soundtrack, which adds to the talent from that period of time to this film. So it is a power-backed talent show, and as far as the cast and direct and everybody involved. And then, of course, you have the context of the 1980s.
I mean, when it comes to directors during that period, Rob Reiner made Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, and The Princess Bride.
When Harry Met Sally.
I mean, that's like an incredible run for a director. I don't think it gets much better than that.
No, it does not get much better. And I actually was writing down a list of some of the other films, but you're looking at, I mean, just one after the other. He was on a roll. And this was his heyday. Pretty cool.
Yes.
All cult classics to some degree too.
Yes.
Right? I mean, just things that people quote, things that really have resonance with people. You know,
Yeah.
Princess Bride is that kind of movie that everybody talks about all the time. Even if you've never seen The Princess Bride, people quote The Princess Bride at you, and it feels like you've seen The Princess Bride.
It's true. It's true.
Too bad. There's no way that we can figure out a reason that we could do Spinal Tap here. It's not witchy enough.
Oh, we got to figure out a way.
I've never seen Spinal Tap.
What?
See, Patty, like
I
you're
don't
one to talk.
understand.
You never saw Princess Bride
I never
until.
saw- But Spinal Tap. Okay.
Okay.
Christopher Guest is phenomenal. Everything he does is hysterical.
It's phenomenal.
Did you just turn your light off, Jason? I missed it.
I
I'm
did.
sorry.
I've been back for 17 minutes, Courtney, and I've already had to turn my light off once because of you. Because of you, Buckley.
I have a confession.
And I'm also going to be turning my light off for Richard-Lael.
This is why I already, before he even says it, this is why I love Richard-Lael, because we're
I
always.
too have never seen Spinal Tap.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Turn that light off! Turn that light off! If I could, I would turn my light off.
Yeah. Just,
Oh, no,
this is
Richard
almost like thumb over the camera bad. Thumb over the camera bad.
I think we need to do it just for that reason.
Yes.
I think we have Trey put up that Mark Knopfler just auctioned off the guitar he used to record Princess Bride. And I know Trey, and I trust that he knows what he's talking about when it comes to auctioning off guitars. So that's pretty cool. I wonder how he probably got a pretty penny for that.
Take all my money.
Take all your money, right?
Like, I want that. This movie for me it's so nostalgic because when I was first a teen, like not even a teenager, I was in elementary school, like coming to the end of elementary school, and I was being allowed to like leave my house and go to my friends' houses that were like in my neighborhood. Literally every single day after school, I would go to my best friend's house. We would each crack open a Diet Dr. Pepper, and we would lay on our stomachs on the rug in front of the TV, and we would watch The Princess Bride, and we would just quote it over and over. And we talk about it constantly all the time. What's your favorite line? Oh, what's your favorite line? This movie, and I know this is going to come as a shock to everyone because I've made it plainly clear that I don't feel these feelings. This movie makes me believe in love. Okay?
Aww.
In true love. Every time I watch this movie, I think, where is my Westley?
Mhm.
And
I think that same thing too.
right, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful, and it's fun, and it's just amazing. I just can't. There's so many things, and then the depth that went into it too. Like Mandy Patinkin, if you've ever watched him on like TikTok or anything or do interviews, and he talks about how he in that scene towards the end when he finally gets a hold of the six-fingered man and he's repeating that line over and over again. Hello, my name is Iñigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. And he keeps saying it. And he talks about the emotion that he put into that scene, thinking about his own father who was gone and what he would do to have his father back. And he cries still to this day talking about it. And this movie didn't need more witchcraft to be a witch movie because it's magic.
In a different way, it is.
Yeah, it's just I feel like everyone that watches it gets something from it, everyone has a story about the Princess Bride, including the people that were in it, which is great. And like, what's his name? Carrie
Elwes.
Elwes, he's still doing appearances. And it's still like, I mean, he's been in 1,800,000 things, but it's still as Westley from the Princess Bride. I just think it's one of those movies that is, and I'm not a big fan of 80s movies either, because Heather, all those movies that you listed, I've seen 2 of them. Don't particularly enjoy either one, but this movie stands the test of time. And for me, as a consumer of movies, like, it was magic when I watched it. It's magic every time I watch it, and I watch it constantly. It's in my rotation. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, and I think this is the movie that made me fall in love with quotes too. So this movie, I feel a lot of feelings, and they're good feelings, and I'm not mad about it.
Yeah.
What I love about this film is that there is something for everybody, regardless. If you're looking for a romantic comedy, this is it. If you are looking for a fantasy, this is the film. If you are looking for a film that is a little bit of a satire against sort of the princess in the tower and the swashbuckling pirate, yes, it's slightly tongue-in-cheek. But the major thing about it is family. Even from the beginning, from when it was being written, the author had asked his daughters, what do you want me to tell you a story about? And the one says, a princess, and the other one says, a bride. And so it became Princess Bride. So it was both.
Stop.
And then when we have Fred Savage and oh goodness, what's his name? Peter Falk. When we have them as the grandfather and the grandson, and Fred who shows his disdain for kissing. Ew, gross. They're kissing. What? Do you want me to read it again, or you want me to? Never mind. I'm going to skip over this part. No. It's okay. It's okay. You can actually read it. I mean, the whole way through, the manner of storytelling it's so beautiful. And it has even inspired other films. Someone mentioned Shrek earlier. It's very much like Shrek, excepting better. It's a little like, oh goodness, there was a. Now I'm drawing a blank too. I can't remember. There was another film that directly. Oh, Deadpool 2. That's it. Reenacted in Deadpool 2. That's the one.
My only, going back to Grandpa, starting out of the film, who did his makeup though? I don't get that. I think Grandpa Peter Falk he didn't have. I mean, I get the stylization of everybody and the beautiful young people and the really old Billy Crystals and everything, but it was too early. My only complaint about the film, Grandpa, Columbo, whatever he was his bad makeup. I don't know.
I have something I forgot to say also about Grandpa, relating kind of to Grandpa. The movie not only is magical, but is also, to me, like a love letter. So when Richard-Lael was talking about, the kissing, I could not wait for the moment that I could show my son this movie. And he was little, but he loved it, except the kissing part. And so whenever he wanted to watch it again, I would say, what do you want to watch? And he'd say the Smoochie movie. That was the Smoochie movie. But like, it makes me emotional because someone said it. I'm sorry, I forgot who said it, but there was the thing that Richard-Lael in your synopsis, the thing that Westley says that means I love you, when he says as you wish. And at one point, as much of a fight as the kid puts up about the Kissy book, and he says, Grandpa, will you come over and read it to me tomorrow? And the grandpa says, as you wish. And it was like, oh my God, so good.
Bad makeup and all.
Yes, he can look like a crumb from the bottom of the toaster and be adorable.
The funny thing about Peter Falk, though, is for whatever weird reason, I guess YouTube thought that I needed some old crazy movies, and there was Murder by Death, and he plays a pseudo. It's actually Jim Diamond. It's based off of an old radio show from the 50s. But he plays this sort of, it's Murder by Death is awful. We're not going to really talk about that one. It's wonderful and awful. And then there is The Cheap Detective, where Peter Falk comes back in the same trench coat and the same kind of hat, and then a few years later he plays Lieutenant Columbo. So no matter who he is, no matter what film he's been in, Peter Falk will always be Lieutenant Columbo. One more thing. I don't have one more thing, as you wish.
Yeah, no, I used to run a murder mystery company, and we had the very best Columbo impersonator ever. His name is Joseph Pilato. Rest in peace, Joseph Pilato. And he did one of those. He was in some of those cult, whatever, it doesn't matter. But he did. We got to do a Columbo for Columbo. They were there, wrinkled trench coat to wrinkled trench coat, cigar to cigar, doing each other back and forth. It was amazing. And so that was one of Joseph's highlights, to get to do that for Peter Falk, and he approved and loved it. So again, so I'm sorry I said that his makeup bothered me in the film, but
that's right. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I don't know. Too early in the movie? I don't know.
I'm with you. I don't think the makeup was very good. To me, he looked like the Yoda character from Spaceballs. I mean, that's really what he kind of looked like. They could have done better there. I guess they were trying to disguise Peter Falk.
They didn't.
Right? They didn't.
They didn't.
No.
Patty, I want to hear about your experience. Like, you're the only one of us, if I'm not mistaken, who watched it for the first time. And I feel like everyone remembers their first time. At least I do.
Okay.
So I want to hear about your first time.
Okay, my first time last night. And I watched it on my laptop, not my phone, at 2 a.m. I watched it in a decent hour. It was just delightful. Again, when it first started, it takes me about 5 minutes to get into almost any movie. I'm outside of it before I go in. And then when I'm in, I am in. I'm not even a good critic. Like I always say all the time, it's like, I can't critic, I'm in it. But it took me a while to get in because of Grandpa's makeup. Silly, but as soon as I just loved it, I just thought, again, the beautiful young couple was such a beautiful young couple, and the characters were characters, and the adventure. I mean, the violence was violent. It was the sword fights and this and that. They had, like you said, everything, kissy, smoochy, and killy, all at the same time. Kissy. So I just fell into it. Once we got into the story, I can't even say this moment here and this moment here. Of course, the inconceivables and all that. I just laughed and cried the entire movie. That's it. And it made me believe in love, made me want to do all those things. I cheered, I rooted, I cried. It's like, oh, watch out. Can you make it? Can you make it? Those things very often. And it was fun.
So, Courtney, I have a confession to make to you. I avoided this movie for a very long time in my life because people were always like, this is the greatest movie ever made. And when you build something up that high, it's very rare that it lives up to the hype. So I avoided this movie for a very, very long time. And it's the early 2000s, I think 2003. And this girl that I had liked for several years that I had never gotten anywhere with decided that night she was totally into me. And she said, why don't you come back to my place and watch The Princess Bride with me? So we get back to her place at 2 a.m. to watch The Princess Bride. And I can't really remember much about watching the movie with her or really the movie. I just remember feeling sort of let down because I'd waited so long to watch this film and it just didn't hit that pinnacle that everyone else said it was. Now, of course, I was not sober, and it was 2 a.m. when we started, and I really had other things on my mind other than watching the film, which I will totally confess to.
It was a smoochy movie in a different way.
It was a smoochy movie to me, yes. Yes. So when I watched the movie today, it was really like watching it for the first time, because this is only the second time I've ever watched The Princess Bride, and it was much different than I remember from that night. I think because that night I was
you were sober, Jason.
I think more than that, Heather, I was far more interested in young Barbara than Princess Buttercup. Right? So my priorities were elsewhere. Over the years, I had seen clips of the film. Of course, as I said before, it's a very iconic movie. It's hard to go anywhere, especially in the witch world, without somebody quoting this film, and it would show up periodically. But it was much better than I remembered that late night all those years ago.
I just honestly felt like I was back at Disney on that roller coaster of emotions that you just took me on.
It's true.
I have to reconsider our friendship right now. I'm deciding whether or not.
I am going to turn off my light for you, Courtney. This is my penance to myself for my lack of princess briding.
Boo! Boo! Out to her! The queen of crime, the queen of filth. Boo!
I deserve it all. I admit it. I deserve it all.
This keeps up, you're going to find yourself unemployed in Greenland, Jason.
Great.
I
So
know.
maybe the whole world really hadn't seen Princess Bride. The whole world just thinks the whole world saw Princess
Yes.
Bride.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing, and I'm gonna jump in. I did see it in the 80s, and I've probably watched it 1,000 times since then. So when you watch this movie with me, I'm actually delivering the lines as they do, which is terribly annoying. So Courtney and I need to watch this together.
I would pay money. I will rent the theater out so it can be just us. Like,
just the two of us.
I'll go in with you.
Okay.
Perfect.
There you go. That'll be fun. So
Note to self: do not watch The Princess Bride with Heather and Courtney.
yeah, that's
Sorry,
probably a bad idea.
I'm
I
just
think
making a
that
note.
in any Broadway musical movie, we probably would be very annoying. But besides that, the interesting thing about this love and the cult status, it's even beyond, I wouldn't call it even cult. The cultural iconic status of this movie, when it came out, it was panned. And like many of our other beloved movies, Wizard of Oz, for example, and many others you've mentioned, the success of this movie came with DVD and cable. People watch it over and over. These kind of things are like other kind of comedies are like that. Monty Python and a lot of the Christopher Guest movies. When you watch this type of comedy over and over, people start to love it and people repeat it and the lines get repeated. And so it becomes now, but I'm going to argue comparing this, whether it's to Monty Python or to what's the one that Courtney loves?
Your
Killing
Highness.
Tree.
What was that?
Your
The
Highness.
Killing Tree.
No, not the Killing Tree, the night one.
Your Highness.
Your Highness. So if we're going to compare the comedy, a comedic thing, a comedic movie about this time, Monty Python, Your Highness, this one, I'm going to say that this movie is so well done. The other ones force the comedy. If comedy is I am trying to be funny, and everything that's so forced. The story is subservient to that. This is not the case for this movie, which is why it's so beautiful. This movie is so well balanced. The comedy comes out of the story. It comes out of the dialogue. It doesn't play for comedy. It plays serious. I mean, the story is serious. This is a love story. Every piece of this is serious. The characters are serious. None of them come to the screen saying, I am now going to be funny. This is really funny. Watch me. I'm funny. That's not what this does.
Billy Crystal?
What was that?
Billy Crystal.
No, it really, he's your old Jewish grandpa that's sitting there, honey, have fun swimming the castle. He's comedic, but he doesn't force it. It's what the character is. And it serves the story. And so the story rolls along and all these characters just come in and out and serve that story. And it's so well balanced that you never feel like you're being forced to laugh. You're never forced to be silly. It just is. And it's so well balanced, so well timed. I can't believe that this bombed in the theaters as it did. Now I understand why a movie like Monty Python or some other kind of comedies, because comedy is really hard. The timing of comedy is so difficult. This one is so beautiful. It manages to be serious. It manages to be beautiful. It manages to be a good story. And funny as anything. I mean, funny as all get out. I mean, I can't stop laughing the whole time. And I'm like, you just want to love it. You want to give the movie a hug when it's done. And everybody wants their Westley. I found mine, but that's okay.
As the one person in this coven who likes Your Highness, I can say you cannot even compare the two because Your Highness is stupid on purpose. But this movie is like a movie of heart in all the ways. And it literally my heart just opens up every time I watch it and I take it all in. And then it's like you said, like you just, like I literally sit there at the end like a giddy little schoolgirl kicking my feet and hugging my blankie and being like, oh, this is so great. Every time I know exactly what's gonna happen. I know the script backwards and forwards, but it's still every time I laugh, every time at the same parts. I cry every time. I fall in love with it all over again. And it really there's just no comparing it. I don't think there's comparing it. It doesn't compare to any other movie that I enjoy or have seen.
A good comedy, a good comedy can be, there's other good comedies that do this, but it's very hard. It's harder than making a drama. It's harder. Comedy is very tough. And to make a comedy that's this universally loved, it doesn't, I mean, it's just, they hit it so perfectly. They just did. And it's Rob Reiner. This is one of the best movies that has come out of Hollywood, in my opinion. I mean, just as far as filmmaking and storytelling, cinematic storytelling, it isn't perfect makeup. There also was a lot of weird cuts during the Dread Pirate Roberts when he attacks the castle, which is nothing like J6 Richard-Lael, but that's another comment. Anyway, when he rolls up, there's some weird cuts that were bothering me. It's not perfect, but this movie's going to stand the test of time. It is probably one of the best comedic movies to come out of Hollywood, just all around, in my opinion. I will die on that hill.
It wasn't shot on a soundstage like Wizard of Oz, but while I was watching it, it reminds me a lot of the Wizard of Oz. Just the way some of the shots are set up, how it looks, because it has a very timeless look. I don't think you look at it and go, oh, this is 1987. There's just something a little bit different and outside of everything else, which is how I always perceived the Wizard of Oz too. And I will say it gets better with repeated viewings because my second was so much better than my first.
Your first doesn't count.
It doesn't count, Jason.
That night
does not count.
That night definitely counted, Courtney.
It counted for something. It did not count for Princess Bride.
It didn't count for Princess Bride viewing. Yes.
No.
As much as I love the film, there was always one scene that always kind of scared me a little bit, and that was with Andre the Giant in the wheelbarrow and the what do they call it, a Holocaust cloak, and there will be no survivors.
And they're burning him.
They're burning him. I worried about that. I worried about him. Yes.
Also, just shout out to Andre the Giant, who's so good in this movie. He has like such personality and like that whole love and that heart that people keep talking about in this film. Like he really, you could see it in him, right? As somebody who grew up watching wrestling during that period of time, I mean, I love Andre the Giant, but it's so nice to see this other side of him when he's not trying to strangle Hulk Hogan the whole time. So it was really great. I think he steals every scene he's in. I mean, just way to go, Andre.
My favorite always as a kid watching it was at the end when Buttercup jumps out the window and he catches her.
Hello,
and she just looks like a little doll, and he has the horses with him, and it's just so cute. Like I just love him so much.
How did the other two guys get down? They never show them jumping out of the castle getting caught by Andre. They're just all of a sudden on a horse. That's witchcraft.
Miracle Max at it again. Apparently, Billy Crystal ad-libbed a ton of those lines, and I read in one Variety article when Rob Reiner was talking about it is that they I think it was Mandy Patinkin. They couldn't stop laughing at Billy Crystal. They had to do the scene so many times because he just kept ad-libbing. Like the whole thing where he says, it's his favorite thing, except for what is it, a pastrami sandwich? I can't remember how the line goes, except for that with a little hot and a very that was a total mutton sandwich. That was total ad lib on Billy Crystal's part. So you rewatch it and just watch it knowing he's ad libbing a good portion of those lines, and they were just having trouble shooting it because they were laughing so hard. But yeah, this was shot in England.
It looks like it too. It does.
Yeah, it was.
It must have been a big budget for the day, right? Just because of who was in it.
I don't know what the budget was.
$15 million. $15 million
for the moment. What was it?
No, it's not completely gigantic.
Apparently, a number of people were trying to make this book into a movie, and just were not. They wouldn't do it. They kept dropping it. Even I read one article that said they even had Truffaut coming out, pulling Truffaut to try to get him involved in trying to make the movie. I can't even imagine. I am so glad Robert Reiner did it. He did a brilliant job, and I'm going to keep saying that.
Can we just look in what's happening in the comments right now? Heather, you brought up the scene with the sandwich. We are quoting in sequence with different people.
The whole scene's being quoted. Liar.
Mutton with a tomato sandwich when the tomatoes are nice and ripe and the mutton is nice and lean. Look at this. This is what this movie does. I love it.
It is what it does. It's a great movie. I'm going to watch it again. I'm probably going to watch it again and I'll watch it again next week probably after talking about it.
I watch it every couple months.
I watch this one over and over more than any Monty Python, and I quote that one randomly. But this one, no. See, there goes Jason. Sorry, Monty Python's fun, but the movies are not perfect, wonderful movies as a whole. This is a wonderful movie. It's right up there with some of my other favorite comedies, like A Philadelphia Story, and Bringing Up Baby, and just The Thin Man, and all the old ones I love. This is just perfect filmmaking. Thank you,
better
Rob.
than I Married a Witch.
It's different. It's different. It's different.
Yeah. It's completely different.
All right. Well, we have talked about it. Every week I don't remember if we get Jason's minute or we vote first.
Quotes. We need more quotes.
Oh no! Quotes.
What am I, invisible?
Oh wait,
did my invisibility cloak work?
I'm hacked. I have no brain power, Courtney. It's amazing. I'm not dribbling on camera.
Buckley delete us? What happened?
I'm going back to dribbling on camera because I have no brain power. So quotes. We saved you a lot of time for quotes.
Well, good, because I'm gonna need it because the whole movie was a quote. I think I will start with. Obviously, we've talked about a lot of them. I think the most iconic to me always was the "Hello, my name is Iñigo." I say it daily. "Hello, my name is Iñigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." Anytime someone says hello to me instead of like hi or hey or what's up or anything, they say hello in my brain immediately. "Hello, my name is Iñigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die."
You keep saying that. Why do you keep saying that?
And then inconceivable. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. And so that's a line I also incorporate into my daily life. You keep saying that. I don't think it means what you think it means. But as a kid, when we would talk about, oh, what's your favorite line? What's your favorite line? My favorite line as a kid was when Westley, as the Man in Black, was going through like all the trials and he had to go fight Iñigo Montoya and then he had to go fight Andre the Giant. And I forget what he said to start it off, but they're talking about like fighting man to man or whatever with Andre the Giant. And he says, "You mean you put down your rock and I put down my sword and we try to kill each other like civilized people?" That was always my favorite. And then I can't even quote it because it's so long and the whole thing is so good. But it's when he's with wow, now I'm blanking. It's Contagious. The poison. Inconceivable.
Oh yeah,
Vizzini. When he's with Vizzini and he's doing the poison cups, and it's the whole thing, the whole monologue about how he knows what cup has the poison.
It's fantastic.
So smart, can't be outsmarted. And And then in the fight with Iñigo Montoya, he's climbing up the cliffs because they cut the rope, and now he's scaling the cliffs of insanity, and he's like struggling, and Iñigo Montoya is like waiting up there for him, and like keeps looking down over the edge, and like, what, could you hurry it up, because I want to move on. And he says like, well, if you threw me down a rope, well, I don't think you'd trust me because I'm waiting up here to kill you. And it's just so honest, like it's just so real, and it's so funny, and they're so cordial to each other. And he gets him up, and then they have a moment. He lets him rest for a moment. Then they're getting ready to fight, and Iñigo says, "You seem like a decent fellow. I hate to kill you." And Westley says, "You seem like a decent fellow. I hate to die." And it's just so good. And then when he finally catches up to Buttercup, and they're standing on the top of the hill, and she's saying, "My Westley will come for me," or whatever, and then she pushes him down the hill, and he says, as he's rolling, "As you wish," and then Buttercup says, "Oh no, what have I done?" and then throws herself down the hill, and the whole time she's rolling, she's going, "Oomph, oomph, oomph." It's so amazing.
Yes, I love it.
Come on, Courtney, you gotta hit. You gotta do the priest.
I have marriage. That's on my list. Marriage is what brings us together today.
I have a story about that before we go too far.
Okay, go ahead.
So I am a licensed minister, and some friends of mine they were getting married, but they wanted a secular marriage in the place where they had their first date. And their first date happened to be in a movie theater. So I remembered, what my father had done as a minister and how he would bring people together, but it was decidedly secular. And so the groom comes up, and then the bride comes up, and I had no idea what I was going to say. So I said, "Marriage." Marriage is what brings us together today. Love, true love. Everybody laughed. And then on the spot, I said, yes, that is quoted from The Princess Bride. But what we are gathered here today is to wish this couple a beautiful, romantic love, because there were only 2 good kisses throughout all of time. And when we go to the cinema, when we go to the theater, we put aside religion, and we put aside our politics, and we put aside everything, and we are immersed in that darkness. And we look up on that stage, and these people are our friends and our family, and we identify with them. And the only thing we want in that darkness, in that moment, is just love.
Stop!
And I ad-libbed that the entire way through, and I had no idea what I was going to say until that split second right before I opened my stupid mouth.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Gosh. Oh.
Courtney still has quotes. Can you continue?
Yeah.
that was beautiful.
I'm going to cap it at one more, because it is a little bit of a longer one, because this is, again, one of my favorites from when I was a kid. And it's the first things first to the death. No to the pain. And then he goes in and launches into what to the pain means. And I'm not going to say the whole thing, but, he's going through, like, he's going to take each one of his body parts and this, that. And then Prince Humperdinck says, yeah, then my ears, I understand. Let's get on with it. And Westley, and this is where I think this is the moment that I fell in love with Westley. He goes, "Wrong. Your ears you keep, and I'll tell you why. So that every shriek of every child at seeing your hideousness will be yours to cherish. Every babe that weeps at your approach, every woman who cries out, 'Dear God, what is that thing?' will echo in your perfect ears. That is what to the pain means. It means I leave you in anguish, wallowing in freakish misery forever." And Prince Humperdinck says, "I think you're bluffing." And then Westley goes, "It's possible, pig. I might be bluffing. It's conceivable, you miserable, vomitous mass, that I'm only lying here because I lack the strength to stand. But then again, perhaps I have the strength after all." And then he stands up all slow, clearly, like, we know he has nothing. But he stands up, and then he says, "Drop your sword." And then Prince Humperdinck the sword. And I was like, Wesley! That was it.
hysterical.
So that's what I'm going to end on. Inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
Conceivable.
All right. Jason?
You want me to go ahead and do this? Okay. I hope that nobody kills me for this because I'm a little nervous now because everyone loves this movie so much that to make fun of it, everyone could be turning their lights off by the time I'm done. So here we go. Hello, my name is Jason Mankey. You are watching this live stream. Prepare to laugh or possibly to hate me. I don't want to be insulting, but how dumb is Princess Buttercup? The moment she lays eyes on the man in black, aka the Dread Pirate Roberts, she should have realized it was Westley. I mean, come on. It's not like he was wearing a full-on Batman mask or something. His mask covered the top of his face, and that's it. And Westley didn't even bother modifying his voice either. At least Superman puffs out his chest and talks in a deeper voice than Clark Kent. Westley just thinks dressing as Zorro will fix all of his problems. And Westley, let's take him down a peg, shall we? He finds the love of his life but has to seek his fortune overseas to marry her? Really? What the hell? What happened to that for richer or for poorer crap people say at weddings? And then when he does come back, he's all mean to her for moving on with her life? What was Buttercup supposed to do? Just waste her days pining away for Westley? Oh, Westley, I'm just 19 years old, but I shall spend my days forever crying over you because I believe you to be dead. I have decades of life ahead of me, but I shall only mourn you for the rest of my days. Come on. I understand the sadness, but what a jerk to expect Buttercup to completely put her life on hold. And bad information in fairy tale times certainly ran rampant. It's not like she could text Westley to see if he was still alive or something. And hobnobbing with an infamous pirate seems like a pretty good way to make sure everyone around you thinks you are dead. We are a witchcraft show, so we have to talk about witchcraft. And the biggest piece of witchcraft in this movie that nobody talks about is just how fast Grandpa reads to his grandson. The novel is over 400 pages, and Grandpa just tears through that sucker in 90 minutes, all while Fred Savage constantly interrupts him. What an annoying little brat. Just shut your trap and enjoy your wonder years, kid. It should have taken Grandpa at least 3 hours to read that book. And that grandson doesn't look sick to me at all. Hey, Mom, I think your kid is faking it to avoid a test at school. And I know right now some of you are mad at me for this movie minute. How dare Jason make fun of The Princess Bride? And I get it. The Princess Bride is absolutely iconic, and everyone in it gives once-in-a-lifetime performances. It's fun, but there's not a ton of depth to it, but maybe that's why most of us like it so much.
Not a ton of depth. Let me
Think
light up.
about
To
how...
the pain. Have a zero modesty, Black Phillip butt, Jason.
I mean, the grandson doesn't even have a name. His name's just
Unemployed in
grandson.
Greenland.
There could be more depth in this film. There could be more depth in this film.
No.
As you wish, Jason.
There could be more depth.
The only way this film could have more depth is if you watched it in a submarine.
Or if you watched it while swimming with the shrieking eels.
Or perhaps you watched it while making out with Barbara. Maybe that's my problem.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the problem.
Your
Yeah, maybe
introduction
that
to
is.
it was not good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna bring.
Can we just the comment from Megan Sherman? Jason certainly made a choice today. Yes, he did, because as we know, I like to do a little hexing, and now there's one brewing with Jason's name on it.
Yeah.
Jason's leaving. He left. Oh no, he's right there. Okay.
Better get a few of those, because I'm about to do some butthole magic. I hope you guys sit on your toilet.
Stay away from me, Buckley. Stay away. Stay away.
You guys need to take your tags off your buttholes.
My tag is the butthole.
All right.
That's the only
You all
modesty
need to
he
take
has.
your tags off your butthole.
Okay, now, before we run out of time, we do have to vote on this. Now, don't take into consideration, or do take into consideration, the Mankey synopsis and everybody's synopsis. We want your opinions, everybody. Wands up or wands down? Blades up or blades?
My wand is so high, it's Richard-Lael's wand.
Up. Okay. Up. Okay. Patty protection panties. I didn't even say panties once. Ha ha. Okay, up.
Yeah,
Okay, we have
Jason's
not
gonna need some,
up
so
yet.
someone can get them too.
I'm not giving it a thumbs
Jason needs
down.
Patty protection card.
Jeez.
Yes.
Jeez. I mean, I've given you the wands up. What more do you want from me?
Wait, you there? Who brought up the panties? I have a new idea. For my protection panties, I always have the Helm of Awe. We need big evil eye protection panties.
Yes, we do.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Okay. My bunch. Okay. One's up. Everybody, I have not seen a wands neutral or a wands down yet. This indeed may be. Take off. This may actually be the first time we have never had. I mean, that we've only had wands up. This may be the first movie in history of the Witches Movie Coven. So here's
Patty, I don't think that's a wand though, right? You have right there.
no, it's a blade. It's a blade because they're so
Okay. Oh, got it. Okay.
Inconceivable.
inconceivable. Yes.
You keep saying that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Also, credit to producer Rob, whose birthday, it was his birthday on Friday. So happy birthday, Rob, who chose this movie as his birthday movie. Well
Yes,
done.
birthday, Rob.
Thank
Happy
you, Rob.
birthday.
Well done for choosing the movie, Rob, but thumbs down for casting Jason in this coven.
Oh, holy crap. Holy crap.
Coven casting. I've put
Wow.
those together before.
Wow,
I
that
knew.
was really that was way more than a shot across the bow right there.
I knew I was going to get in trouble for that one. I knew it.
And you
I
did.
knew it.
And you did.
This place
Why
was
couldn't have
this
we-
week.
Why couldn't have we have done this last week when I was gone? Oh,
Because
because
I
of
was
Courtney.
also
That's right. That's right. So now, yeah. Because
love
I didn't
you
love
anyway,
this movie
Jason.
100%. Oh,
All right. But all ones up. Funny movie minute. But what are we seeing next week?
Next week, we just said it. Next week is
it's Blair Witch Book of Shadows.
Oh.
Blair Witch 2.
Blair Witch 2.
That's the Book of Shadows. So this is not the one from 2016 that came out. This is the Blair Witch Project 2, which came out, I think, in 2000 or 2001, something like that.
Okay. Blair Witch 2, 2000.
Book of Shadows. Look for the one that says Book of Shadows, not Electric
No, I'm not
Boogaloo.
laughing at a joke that Jason made.
Not Electric Boogaloo.
The joke
All right.
was good. The joke was good.
Before we go, anybody have check-ins? You guys, if you're here Friday night, make sure you guys turn into Scared and Alone live with these. You see Courtney get scared. Are you going to bring a doll with you?
So Rosie's been coming with me, and
No.
Dean doesn't like that, but I don't know. She keeps telling me she wants to go.
Okay,
So,
so wait and
that's
see and
her
make
right
sure
there.
you watch it. If you're not watching that, or if you're in Las Vegas, come to see me. I'm doing 2 seances, workshops, spellcasting, practical magic, storytelling, and a ghost hunt, all between Friday and Sunday at the Halloween Emporium in Las Vegas, Nevada. So come see me there. And anybody else, what do you got coming up real quick?
I'm going to jump in, and we got 2 more days to apply to present at Mystic South and to take advantage of the lower tickets, the lower cost tickets. They change on March 1st, so jump in there right now. Mystic South, that's in July in Atlanta, and Jason, both Jason and I believe, are going to be at Pagenicon in a couple weeks in Minnesota. That's going to be a really fun time. Lots of our witchy and magical people there doing stuff. I'll be presenting 3 presentations. Not my doll one. That's coming in Atlanta, but I'm doing 3 presentations there. So come out and join us. Right? You're going to be there, Jason.
2 workshops, 1 ritual, 2 panels. I'm going to be really tired.
Nice.
Come join us. Yeah. There's it. I'm on the road a lot. We're out of time. Let's go. Don't stop getting me on there. I'm not even allowed to talk anymore because Courtney hates me now.
As soon as the hex is over, we can be friends again. But until then, if you
All
could
right.
send me some of that hair, I'd appreciate it.
You have your hair is extra special tonight, Jason.
It is.
It is extra special.
Mm.
So, is there something we would do other than cackle for the Princess Bride?
Nope, we'll cackle.
You guys are afraid of everything else now. Okay.
Yes.
Here we go.
Prepare to die, Buckley.